People love saying that everyone remembers the happiest wedding they ever attended. I don't. I remember the one that convinced me some things have been pretending to be human far longer than we've been alive. If you ever find yourself driving through the forgotten backroads of the USA after sunset, and you come across a town, don't stop. Because if the people there invite you to a wedding, you're not a guest. You're the ceremony. My name is Corvin Hale, and this happened 3 years ago. I was driving alone after photographing abandoned grain silos for a magazine. My GPS had died nearly an hour earlier, and every road looked exactly the same. Endless woods, cracked asphalt, and rusted mailboxes leading to homes that never appeared. Then the fog rolled in. Not normal fog. This stuff swallowed the headlights. I slowed to a crawl. When it finally cleared, I wasn't on the same road anymore. Ahead of me stood an old wooden sign, "Welcome to Lark Hollow." The paint looked fresh. The wood looked older than time itself. I figured I'd ask for directions, fill up on gas if the town had a station, and get back on the highway. That was my first mistake. The streets were spotless. Every porch light glowed with the same warm amber color. Flowers bloomed in perfect rows. Not a single blade of grass was out of place. It looked less like a town, and more like someone pretending to remember what a town should look like. People smiled as I walked past. Every single one of them. The exact same smile. Friendly, but frozen. Like a photograph. Nobody blinked. I noticed because I started counting. 5 seconds, 10, 20. Not one blink. An old man sweeping his porch never took his eyes off me. A little girl skipped rope without missing a beat, smiling the whole time. Even the stray dog sat perfectly still, staring in silence. No barking, no growling, nothing. A woman in a pale blue dress stepped onto the sidewalk. She couldn't have been older than 30. Her voice was soft. "Oh, you're finally here." I chuckled nervously. "Pretty sure you've got the wrong guy." "No," she replied. "We've been waiting for you." Before I could answer, church bells echoed across the town. Everyone stopped moving. At exactly the same second, then every person turned toward the white church standing on the hill. Without saying a word, they all began walking. Slow, calm, perfectly synchronized. It should have looked ridiculous. Instead, it made every hair on my body stand up. Curiosity beat common sense. I followed. Inside, the church smelled faintly of old roses and something else, like wet earth after a grave had been opened. Rows of candles flickered without melting. A choir sang somewhere overhead. Beautiful voices. Except, there wasn't a choir. The balcony was empty. The sound came from nowhere. Guests quietly filled every pew, still smiling, still not blinking. At the altar stood the bride beneath a long ivory veil. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. Even from 20 feet away, I couldn't see her chest rise once. Then I noticed the photographs lining the walls. Wedding portraits. Hundreds of them. Each one taken decades apart. Different years, different grooms. The same church. The same flowers. The same veil. The same bride. None of the grooms looked older than 30. A chill slid through me. I whispered to the man beside me, "Who's the bride?" He answered without turning his head, "Our future." I laughed under my breath. Yeah, that's creepy. He didn't react. Not even a little. The ceremony began. The minister opened an ancient book with blank pages, yet he read from it effortlessly. His voice echoed strangely, as if another voice kept speaking half a second behind his own. The vows weren't English, or any language I'd ever heard. The words sounded wrong. Every guest quietly repeated them, not with their mouths, with their breathing. The entire church inhaled and exhaled in perfect rhythm, creating words that shouldn't have existed. That's when I decided I was leaving. I stood. Every guest turned toward me. At exactly the same moment. No delay, no hesitation. Just snap. Hundreds of eyes, watching. I hurried toward the doors. They opened easily. Outside, the town was gone. There was only endless black forest surrounding the church in every direction. No houses, no roads, no lights. Like the town had never existed. I spun back toward the sanctuary. The windows were gone now. Only solid walls. The church felt smaller, closer, like it was breathing around me. Then I heard soft footsteps behind me. The bride had left the altar. She stopped only a few feet away. Slowly, she lifted her veil. There was nothing underneath. No face, no skull, no darkness, nothing. The veil hung over empty space, yet somehow, I felt something staring directly into my eyes. A pressure filled my head. Suddenly, memories flooded my mind. Not mine. Hundreds of men standing exactly where I stood. Everyone terrified. Everyone reaching toward the bride. Everyone smiling moments later, as though they'd forgotten who they were. I stumbled backward. What are you? The empty veil tilted slightly. Then every guest answered together. We wear what remains. The sound didn't come from their mouths. It came from inside the walls, the floor, the ceiling, the church itself. A loud tearing noise echoed behind me. I turned. One of the guests had scratched his own face. His skin split open, but there was no blood. Instead, pale white threads stretched beneath the skin like tightly woven fabric. Another guest's arm unraveled, then another. Within seconds, smiles peeled away. Faces loosened. Hands came apart in long strands. Their bodies weren't made of flesh. They were woven. Carefully stitched human shapes, unraveling into countless white threads that drifted through the air like spider silk. The threads didn't fall. They floated toward me. Thousands of them, wrapping around my wrists, my shoulders, my throat. I ripped free and ran. The church changed around me. Wooden beams twisted like ribs. The floor rippled beneath my feet. The stained glass windows no longer showed saints. They showed people screaming from inside the glass, pounding silently against it. The choir grew louder. Now I realized what I was hearing. They weren't singing. They were begging. The aisle stretched farther every time I ran. The exit never got closer. Behind me, the white threads gathered together, weaving themselves into new human figures before collapsing and rebuilding again. They didn't chase me. They simply kept knitting themselves into different people, different ages, different faces, trying on humanity like clothes. The bride remained perfectly still, watching, waiting. Then I saw it. Above the altar hung an enormous chandelier. Its chain had almost rusted through. I grabbed one of the burning candles and hurled it upward. The flame caught the old wooden beams instantly. Fire raced across the ceiling. For the first time, the church screamed. Not the people, the building. A deep, impossible scream that shook the ground beneath my feet. The woven figures froze. The empty veil snapped toward the fire. The walls began collapsing inward. I sprinted through smoke, falling beams and burning pews until daylight exploded across my face. I crashed onto an empty highway. No church, no town, no sign. Only endless fields beneath the morning sun. State police searched the area for 2 days. They found nothing. No foundation, no ashes, no footprints, nothing. People tell me stress can make the brain invent impossible memories. Maybe they're right. Maybe. But every now and then, I'll be standing in line at a grocery store or filling my truck at a gas station, and someone across the parking lot will smile at me. Not a normal smile. The exact same frozen smile from Lark Hollow. They never wave. They never blink. They just watch me for a few seconds, then quietly walk away. Sometimes I wonder if that church burned down. Sometimes I wonder if Lark Hollow ever existed. But the question that keeps me awake isn't whether I escaped that wedding. It's whether those things are still out there, searching every lonely road in America, waiting for someone else to become the next groom.